How's it going, people? Welcome back to the channel. It's a more Arsenal transfer news, transfer updates, opinions, discussions, and all that good stuff. Today, again, another wild day of transfers, some other random signings happening. It's weird because transfer window actually should have opened, I think, today or yesterday or last Friday or something like that. But I guess due to Euros, it's been pushed back to January. Cool. June 14th when the Euros start. But obviously, most of the contracts run out by June 30th, July 1st, which means that some people are trying to re-sign players, some teams are trying to maybe find the best suitor to cash in before that all that happens. So all is basically up in the air. But again, quite a bit of players linked with Arsenal, quite a bit of players named their prices and everything, some preposterous prices in my opinion. So let's get into it, of course. Just before that, of course, as always, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell if you enjoy the content. Don't forget to comment about your signings, which you want to see at Arsenal, and let's get into it. And we're kicking things off with Victor Osimhen, where, according to rumors, Arsenal are prepared to offer 90 million euros, which would be about 85 million pounds for Victor Osimhen. It comes out from Toto Juve, which is a 50-50 kind of establishment in that regard. Obviously, he has 130 million release clauses, which is not great, and yeah, he is on the market according to Di Marzio for the longest time, and at the moment PSG have pulled out. Pretty much every single team has pulled out of Osimhen except for Arsenal. It will be very interesting to see how this develops. If the rumors that Arsenal are preparing a 90 million bid for him are true, it will be very interesting to see how this story develops. Obviously, for me, it's not my first choice striker at Arsenal, but if Arteta wants him, have to back it, I'm not gonna lie. But there's a 40 million gap between the release clauses and the actual price allegedly Arsenal are willing to offer. So it will be very interesting to see how this happens, how this deal goes through, if it does, and whether it's gonna happen or not in general, because the two options, well, there are three options what can happen with Osimhen. He moves to Arsenal, he maybe might move to Saudi, but it's a tall order. But most likely, one at the moment, what I still see is him staying at Napoli. Obviously, they just signed a new main manager, which is Antonio Conte. Conte has said that he wants Lukaku at Napoli now, but that only thing comes, well, into play, basically, if they sell Osimhen. Whether it's going to happen or not, they'll have to sit patiently and wait, because these big release clauses that certain players have is a big issue for many teams. Obviously, you can negotiate for prices excluding the release clauses, but most of the time it is a 50-50 one, especially like you look at Portugal. Many times the higher players might need to go for a bit less of price than actual release clauses, because nobody's gonna pay, let's say, 120 million for, let's say, a 20-year-old. They'll rather pay about 60-70 million just because of that. But Arsenal, Osimhen, the saga continues. Every single striker we have been linked with is pretty much still there in a way. Zirkzee is there. Šeško, of course, is still there. Isak doesn't look like it's gonna happen, but it's all up in the air. Nobody knows what's gonna happen, and this is one of the. I could arguably say since Arteta has taken over, especially in the last 2-3 seasons, it has come to a point where we don't get almost any information whatsoever until a massive announcement drops. Let's just say, bang, Declan Rice offer 85-90 million, until bang, we sign Jurrien Timber, bang, Fabio Vieira signs. It's not as open anymore. It's like every single club is on a lockdown, and until something actually happens, that gets reported properly. But now it's all rumors, it's all speculations, and 90 million for Osimhen. I can see this deal going through, but at the same time, knowing Napoli's owner, I can see them just turning their heads and saying no. So we will have to follow and see what comes of it. According to rumors, Arsenal want at least 50 million to sell their fantastic player this summer. And it was a weird one, a very weird one, because it is about Aaron Ramsdale. According to the most reliable source in the world, The Sun. Woohoo! Arsenal set to demand around 50 million for Aaron Ramsdale. Mostly it comes into play like this. Arsenal want 40 million if in ideal scenario straight up front, and 10 million in extra gameplay related achievements, if that makes sense. But for me, 50 million for Aaron Ramsdale, well over the top, because he didn't play pretty much at all. He played 11 games, I think, last season. 11? I think it was 11, conceded like 10 goals. He conceded 1 goal less than he played the games. I now, on top of my head, I forgot the number of games, but the less he plays, the more his value is going down. Which, at the end of this summer, if we actually are offering that, nobody's gonna pay. Let's be real. Newcastle were willing to offer 15. Okay, in that sense, that's a laughable amount. I would take around 30 million. But if Arsenal gonna keep asking 15 million, what's gonna happen is it's gonna be end of the transfer window. We cannot sell him. We have to loan him out with a potential buy option or something like that. And it's gonna be a never-ending saga until his contract runs out. Unfortunately, that is a situation at Arsenal that tends to repeat itself quite often. And I just don't want to see that. So if this is true, we are screwed, in my opinion. If this is just a rumor according to Sun, which you cannot trust as far as you can throw them, to be honest, it's a good part. Because I definitely would believe that Arteta and Edu ask about 30-35 million for Aaron Ramsdale. But 50, like, let's be real, it's never ever gonna happen. Not even Saudi are willing to pay that. Let's be real. If anything, his best bet is go to Premier League. And the teams that need goalkeepers are Chelsea. I think Newcastle just submitted offer for Trafford from Burnley for about 15-20 million. So basically, every other team has their goalkeepers set. So only option is either Arsenal lower the amount and they actually try and sell him, or they will have to loan him out. It's a lose-lose scenario in that instance at anyway. So we will have to wait and see what's gonna happen, but 15 million is way over the top. He's a great goalkeeper. He has still very much place to grow, but to ask 50 million, yes, he's a home English, so English quota and other that English tax, but again, 15 million for a player who hasn't featured in the games at all pretty much last season. Yes, he's gone to Euros, but he number 2 at best at the moment performance-wise. So it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see, but one thing is for sure, Ramsdale is on the market, and if the right offer comes, he is about to go. Moving on to some shocking, in a way, news, which, if it happened, I would be incredibly happy. Manchester United and Arsenal are both weighing for the signature of Madrid midfielder Brahim Diaz. According to let's just assume Diario, both Premier League giants are prepared to table offers of 70 million for the talented attacker. So basically around 63 million pounds for Brahim Diaz. Now, would I take him at Arsenal? Hell freaking yes. He has won pretty much everything you can win at Real Madrid. He's been on loan spells. He's been on loan at AC Milan. He came back. He's not the main guy at Real Madrid. Let's get that straight out of the way. But he can play the number 10 and he can play the right wing role, which is perfect because he can be a backup either for Saka and either for Odegaard. And if he is a backup for Odegaard, we don't lose much quality whatsoever. Plus, he's not one of the main guys at Real Madrid as well. Yes, when he comes on, when he plays, he is pretty much every single game balling out as incredibly, to be honest. He had very decent season scoring proper GA as well. And to be honest, I would take him at Arsenal. 16, 17 million in that instance, it's worth it. Moroccan international, used to be Spanish but switched his nationalities. Definitely would take him. Where it's gonna happen or not, again, remains to be seen because we were interested in him some time ago. It didn't materialize in any way, shape or form. We are interested in him again. Where it's gonna happen or not again is a massive, massive question. But at the end of the day, if this happens, to be honest, I would be quite happy. I'm not gonna lie. We've been linked with him, and if it happens, yeah, Arsenal definitely would improve quite massively. Very, very massively. And here it is. This is why I guess we are linked with Zirkzee, Moore and Sheshko as well. Arsenal want, according to Sky by the way, Arsenal want to bring in young striker they can develop, having turned their attention away from players such as Alexander Isak and Ivan Toney. So basically Arsenal want another project, and having it as a striker, arguably, in a way, it's the safest place to go for Arsenal, because no matter what we manage to score goals, we have it all over the place. What the thing is missing is bagsman up top. And having a player that can develop and grow into the role in Arteta's system is the safest bet, because if you try and buy a project player in the number 6 role, we are instantly screwed. And if we try to do it at defense as well, we're instantly screwed, especially in that left back position. So at the end of the day, this is the less risk situation, less risk position where we can try and go after a proper striker. Hence why I guess we are linked with Šeško and Zirkzee the most. Osimhen isn't the youngest, but he is still one of the options we could go for. He's just hell expensive. That is the biggest issue here. So let's be real, Alexander Isak also would be 100 million, pretty much very close to the same amount that we would sign Osimhen for. And Ivan Toney, yeah, he is the one that could bag goals. It doesn't look like Arteta wants to sign a player that's 26 or older, it feels like, or 27 or older at all. Jorginho was an exception. Besides that, pretty much everyone has been super young. So it all remains to be seen, but according to Sky, Arsenal want a young striker. They don't want a striker who pretty much has established himself, is already a proper name. So it will be very interesting to see what comes from this during the transfer window. João Neves. Arsenal were linked with him, have been linked with him for a few days now. It came out of nowhere, but it in a way feels like it's picking up some pace, if that makes any sense. Obviously, he has a massive release clauses, 120, 130 million, something like that. But according to reports from Ebola, sounds mad, but yeah, apparently Benfica have offered him a new contract. Yeah, Benfica can easily close, according to has supposedly offered him midfield prodigy a new deal. The new deal had 128, he has 105 at the moment, I think. 128 million release clauses, and while the wage offer was more than he has on now, obviously, it was much below than the young midfielder expectations, and he declined to sign the new deal outright. Which, in a way, just shows that there is a kind of a chance that he already is exploring a move, in a sense that basically 2028 is in 3 years, not 2028, but his contract runs out, I think 2026, 2027, something like that, in few years basically, so he has time to establish himself, and at that time, he might be way more than the release clause he's on now, and he just want to move himself, so it all remains to be seen, but he's definitely a young prospect, in a way that he's very young. But he already is a Portuguese international, he plays incredible football, in such a way. Yeah, it's a weird one because same as Fabio Vieira, he came out of only played in Portugal and did nothing at Arsenal, has done nothing so far. But João Neves has done a lot more in Benfica, to be honest. He plays for Portugal as well properly. And he is one of the young bright spots, one of the young star boys Portugal has at the moment, and quite recently, one of the brightest ones if you ask me. So definitely there are some merit behind these rumors. And so the ball is in Arsenal's court. If Neves is the number 6, who they believe can complement Martin Odegaard and Declan Rice in their engine room, there is a path to take, because the thing is, two players Benfica have who have lots of value is João Neves and Antonio Silva, the center back. But according to multiple reports, is the fact that they want money, they are open to selling him, but the money they're getting from him, for him, is not as close and nowhere close in a way they would expect, the valuation wise. So if teams are coming for João Neves again, in a way they need to sell him for certain reasons. It would be an open play, because let's be real, at some point Benfica, they don't have to sell him, in a way they have to, but they don't. But let's be real, Benfica, they must sit there and think, we are not getting the 110, 105 million we have him on for release clauses. So we may need to lower the demand, the value. So Arsenal could go in with about 60, 70 million pound offer, and it actually may come to light. However, the biggest controversy in all of this is that it's been said that Arsenal don't want to spend a lot in one position, and spending 60, 70 million on a certain position kind of defeats that purpose, doesn't it? So it will be very interesting to see. It's not like we don't have money. We do have the money, but whether it's going to happen or not, it's all over the place. So it will be very interesting to see how this develops, because do I want João Neves at Arsenal? Yes, I do. Do I want him for 110 million? No, I don't. I want him for about 50 to 60, maybe 70 if you push it. So we will have to follow it a bit more closely to see what happens. But yeah, João Neves to Arsenal. Let me know how you feel about that down in comments below. Here's an interesting one. Douglas Luiz. Remember him? If you do, you do, because he was linked with Arsenal a few seasons ago. We didn't buy him for 35-40 million. And now it's a bit interesting, because Douglas Luiz could leave Aston Villa. he's always been appreciated by Arsenal. He was close to joining Arsenal 2 years ago. Let's see if they return or not. At the moment, Arsenal are not actively working on this deal. It all comes from Fabrizio Romano today. And basically it all comes together in the fact that Arsenal need a number 6. They are exploring their options. And Arsenal were interested in Douglas Luiz for quite a few years ago. We didn't want to pay the 35-40 million, which was at the time. He signed a contract extension and it was all undusted then. At the moment, it looks like he actually might get a move, I think, to Juventus for 30 million plus McKennie, something like that. Juventus are trying to cook up. There were some reports that Douglas Luiz already has agreed to personal terms with Juventus, but by the looks of things, how Fabrizio is reporting it, there is no such thing yet. Which means he's again on the open market. He would be around 50 to 60 million. And again, why Arsenal are not going for Douglas Luiz is a massive mystery. Because for let's say 80-90 million, you can sign Douglas Luiz and Yusuf Fofana, two midfielders that would be perfect for Arsenal in a way that we could have depth, we could rotate, and we would have proper team to challenge each other. Douglas Luiz at 6 would be incredible, I'm not gonna lie. To boost and strengthen that midfield, he would be quite excellent with his passing, shooting ability, good set piece delivery he has as well. So definitely he would fit in super nicely there. But it looks like Arsenal at the moment are actively exploring this deal. The biggest question for me is why? Does Arteta and Edu not deem him good enough? Or do they have already something in plans that would move us to a different level just from a different angle? Because there is this thing that Thomas Partey, in a way, is an ultimate package, what we need in Arsenal's midfield under Mikel Arteta. The strength, the passing, the vision, the energy and everything when he's fully fit and on his game. And you cannot replace that just with one player, which means you need to kind of do it separately, bits by bits. Let's just say Jorginho is with that with passing. Now you need the strength and energy, which could probably Douglas Luiz provide. You need something strong and tall and maybe some physicality, which Yusuf Fofana could actually provide. So you kind of need to buy multiple maybe players to combine that. But at the moment, David Luiz, Douglas Luiz doesn't look like he's gonna leave for Arsenal, but Aston Villa might need to sell him. He is on the market. It's not like they're openly said that he's getting sold, but he's been linked with quite a bit of moves away, and Arsenal are rumored to be one of them, but according to Fabrizio Romano, nothing concrete just yet. It's just very interesting that Arsenal have been linked with him, despite the fact that Arsenal haven't worked on this deal quite actively at all. So we'll have to wait and see whether it's gonna happen or not. But hey, if you ask me 50-60 million for Douglas Luiz, I'm taking that in a heartbeat. Let me know what you think about that. Would you take him? Down in comments below. And the last one for today is Kieran Tierney's Arsenal asking price has been revealed as Celtic again kind of set to get him back at their club. Obviously, he spent last season out on loan on Sociedad. He was again quite a bit of injured, which is quite a yikes again. But Arsenal paid a record-breaking 25 million. It sounds weird now hearing record-breaking 25 million, but we paid 25 million. He went on loan to Real Sociedad, where he played 20 games, so he played a bit more than half a season in La Liga. He's gonna play for Scotland in Euros. We will see how that goes. Maybe that will improve his value, but because at the moment it's not looking great. According to Sunday Post, is reporting that Arsenal will listen to offers around 10 million for Kieran Tierney, which is less than a half for what they pay for it. This is now just embarrassing if you ask me, because there's still incredible player there. He loves to defend, he's good defensively, he can play left back, center back, he can go forward, he can cross the ball, he can overlap. 6 positives. Only negative is that he is injury prone, and unfortunately in football, 2 abilities are the best abilities: accountability and availability. And unfortunately Kieran Tierney falls short in very important one. Because I remember the days, me myself, were calling him to be the captain, but at the same time I was very reluctant because he was injured for half the season pretty much. So that is the biggest. And 10 million for Kieran Tierney. If any club wants a proper left back, even a left back backup, and they already have a solid left back, 10 million is a steal and a half. It still boggles my mind that there are reports saying that 10 million for Kieran Tierney. Like, I would sell him for about 20. but it is what it is. He hasn't played much, he's felt out of sorts, he isn't Arteta's favorite, although with our left back situation he actually should be. In my opinion, he should be our main left back, but it is what it is at the end of the day. Celtic are looking at him. 10 million wouldn't be too much, to be honest. They're also looking, I think, to sell Furuhashi for about 20 million, 25, something like that. So if they sell him, they can buy another striker and even Kieran Tierney. So it all remains to be seen. But obviously, he's linked as well. Previously, obviously Newcastle and Aston Villa have been linked with Kieran Tierney. They don't need left backs, although they kind of do in a way, especially Newcastle, if you ask me. Kind of Aston Villa have that on point at the moment, so it will be interesting to see. Euros kick off in 5 days, so that will be very interesting. Will the Euros performance from him influence the price asking from Arsenal for him? But at the moment, it's 10 million. For me, it's hella low, but it is a price. And if any team wants a proper left back, I guess here you go. Anyhow, those are the transfer rumors and my thoughts on them from me for you today. Let me know down in comments what you think. Of course, like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell. See you all tomorrow. New workday begins tomorrow, so I hope you're ready for it. Peace.